Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today is the big one with Michael in Germany. Science is the new religion script. Michael has labored very hard to bring us, and today we could possibly be on the end of Michael's script for the moment until further notice. Is that correct, Michael?
Hi, Brad. Hello, dear listeners. Yeah, I think that we will come up with this from time to time. But as we have now produced more than 30 sessions in advance, that we can have a little bit of relaxed look and also time for future research. You see, you can't do both. You have to take your time for research, and you can't do this forever. But yes, there are much things that maybe future will show us, which will be important to go in and just to compare it with the Bible, because that's what we are doing, and that's why we are here on this earth, I guess, to spread the gospel to every creature. And we can also combine it with all the deceptions of the enemy. So this is Science is the New Religion, once again. This session has much to do with computers, because computers, electronical, brains, artificial intelligence, and all the like, are all symbols of Uranus. Uranus, symbol of revolution. And who's talking about the digital revolution? Many people are talking about the digital revolution. It's either in or out. It's either 0 or 1. Either you are just for or against it. There is no in between. Huh?
On and off, yes.
Yeah, so when they tell you that it's just everybody receives this mark and no one can buy or sell who has not the mark of the beast, yeah, then it's in or out. It's just digital. Yeah, either you are with it or against it. Either you just worship the golden calf or the metal man image, or you are just condemned. Or in other terms, it happened also in the Middle Ages, convert or die. Okay, first picture.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind you, Michael, Revelation 13:17, and that no man, excuse me.
I'll wait for me.
I'll wait here. 13:17.
It's interesting that you mention Revelation 13, because it's then when the beast of the sea is just arriving.
Correct.
So that we have talked about in the Antarctica and all the stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So 16 and 17, I guess it is, huh? And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
right.
There's a lot to consider there, and not only is this, a mark that's either in their right hand or in their forehead, it is also the name of the beast or the number of his name. It's not just the mark. So that throws in a little something there different.
And I think you see the right hand means the righteousness, and also the practice, the right hand, where you usually do your things with, and so the works that you do, and also their foreheads is just your thinking. What is your mind?
Yeah, the temple.
The temple. Yeah, right. Yeah,
it's really something.
Yeah,
that's right. So there's a lot to it. It's not just so simple, but yeah, it's really interesting reading the book, this Seventh Vial book by James Aiken Wiley, because he speaks so much about this. And it's interesting to see that in a historical context, and we can apply that today in that sense.
Did you read 16 and 17 and 18, right?
Yeah, I did, yes.
Can you read it again?
Yes,
Okay.
I will. And actually, if you wanted to go back a little further, we could. But let's just do exactly what we did if you want.
Yeah.
Okay. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Yeah, and 666, these are all 36 deacons of the Egyptian astrology, for example. Went one.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that.
1 to 36 all added up means 666 is the ruler of the zodiac, or the ruler of the world. Yes.
So what Michael is just saying briefly is 36 plus 35 plus 34, and you go all the way to 1, and it adds up to 666.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they hide under several pseudonyms, codes, chiffres, like Sherlock Holmes said in that television series, and the world runs on codes and ciphers. Yes.
It's just like the World Economic Forum using that little arc with the with their logo. It's a 666 right in your face.
Mm-hmm. So, to make my point clear, what I would expect to happen in the next upcoming years, with all the Pluto in Uranus, industrial, digital revolution, all the stuff, we just start with aliens. This is a quote of the current Pope, Franciscus Jorge Bergoglio.
Should I read it for
you,
Michael?
Please.
If, for example, tomorrow an expedition of Martians came, and some of them came to us, here, Martians, right? Green with that long nose and big ears, just like children paint them. And one says, but I want to be baptized. What would happen?
Yeah, I don't know if he has said that really in person. That strikes me a little bit like a comedy central here. Yeah, but comedy central. Yeah, but in several other medias, he says he offers baptism to Martians. So I do not know if it is a running joke of a kind of a Rick Astley, Rick and Roll. I don't know, or just kind of a Chuck Norris meme. Anyway, you see, even the United States government is playing along with aliens, right? With UFOs, unidentified flying objects. Yes.
Oh, yes. That reminds me of something biblical I'm going to look at. It was to do with the spirit of Antichrist, Michael. You know, that if you're not supposed to bid anyone Godspeed, or how was it? Let's see. Yep. It's 2 John. Let's go 2 John chapter 1, verses 7 through 11. For many deceivers are entered into the world who confess not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist. Look to yourselves, that we lose not those things which we have wrought, but that we receive a full reward. Whosoever transgresseth and abideth not in the doctrine of Christ hath not God. He hath abided in the doctrine of Christ, he hath both the Father and the Son. If there come any unto you, and bring not this doctrine, receive them not into your house, neither bid them Godspeed. For he that abideth in him Godspeed is a partaker of his evil deeds. Having many things to write unto you, I would not write with paper and ink, but I trust to come unto you and speak to you face to face, that our joy may be full. So yeah, this is, one more verse. The children of thy elect sister greet thee. Amen. So yeah, we can't just bless people that are of the wrong spirit. But the Pope, he can baptize anyone he wishes, even Martians, if they want to be baptized. Yes, because he is the spirit of Antichrist. And he's wide. Wide is the gate.
Yeah, and Mars means the Roman god of war, so that would make sense then. Birds of a feather flock together, huh? Yeah, so case closed, I think, on that kind of an alien. So maybe they will come up with that by a big television. The satellite has picked up signals from Mars and the Explorer and Elon Musk and what else? Did aliens create God? You see that? I think that is also one possible scenario they could come up with, that God is actually alien coming from anywhere else, and that they come the aliens, new disciples or whatever. That is one possible scenario, of course. Jacob dreams of climbing a ladder into heaven and meeting God. Yeah. Oh, so Freemasons also got this ladder. So in the Quran, it says in verse 12, chapter 65, states, Allah it is who hath created 7 heavens, and of the earth the like thereof, a line irrelevant analysts have interpreted as suggesting 7 heavens and 7 earth. Who lives on the other 6? You see, they can mix up everything, but as the Pope has been very infamous for syncretism, that mixing everything up, I don't know what he comes up with, but I have a slightly suggestion that he comes up with something which everybody could agree upon. The Vatican's chief astronomer, José Gabriel Funes, publicly accepted that there could be life on other planets. Quote unquote, why can't we speak of a brother extraterrestrial? He said it would still be a part of creation. Interesting. I don't have to read the first sentence of the Bible, I guess, huh? I think it's no wonder I have to decrease it a bit. I'm sorry. I don't want to blind everybody here. I think it's not a coincidence that the Bible comes up with the mother of harlots, the whore of Babylon, depicted as a woman then. Yeah, you see, the woman was always the weaker sex, and I know that in the Bible the book of Revelation is a book of prophecy, therefore you can't explain it literally, but allegorically, and you have to know what's what actually. But of course, when they speak of a woman as the Antichrist, it's also no wonder, because Satan approaches the woman. He approached the woman in the Garden of Eden, actually, 3rd chapter of Genesis, and so many kings and rulers also, they fell for women. Just only 2 examples: David, Bathsheba, and Solomon. Even the wisest of them, they fell for lust, fell for woman. It's like Adam said to God, Adam said, as the first man, about the first woman he ever saw, to Lord God. Could you read it, Brett?
Absolutely, yes. Genesis chapter 2, verse 24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
So who's his father? Who's the father of Adam?
God.
Yes. And he said here he will leave God.
Yes. Correct.
Because of fleshly desires. They shall be one flesh. Yeah.
So in other words, the Son of God.
Yeah, on the one hand, on the other hand, it is just that he admits right now that he will follow the path of fleshly lust or for his woman.
Well, that's interesting, because I know it's written in the book that, that Jesus is the last Adam.
Yes.
And that he's also referred to
like the last
as
Adam,
the second example of Adam.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that, but I much rather refer to Jesus as the last Adam, not the second.
I think the Bible speaks of a quickening spirit when it comes down to the last Adam.
Yes.
And so therefore that means that the first Adam fell for lust, for the flesh, and the second Adam was also only created for spirit. Therefore, Jesus Christ did not sin, because his task was actually to...
that would be against the spirit. To sin would be against the spirit.
Yeah, but his task was just to be the Lamb of God. So therefore, it did not make any sense to engage with any women, because that was not meant for him, because he was only lent a mortal body to fulfill his task. Let's put it this way. And also, sex was only permitted within marriage. So that does not make any sense. So therefore, the depiction of Jesus falling for Maria Magdalene is totally absurd when you think of Jesus as a quickening spirit. But I just didn't want to go this route. I just wanted to show you that all the important rulers, Kings David, Solomon, all Adam on that regard, they fell for women. Look at the book of Psalms. In Psalm 50-something, David speaks about his repentance about God because of Bathsheba. But I'm not going into this now. But you see, we got so much pages in front of us. So you see that to seduce mankind with women would also be one probable hypothesis which worked out in the past and will work out in the future, I guess. The Antichrist is a woman. Yeah, the woman is a church, of course. But you see, women are usually the weaker sex, also when it comes down to faith. Yeah, so let's go on further. This is a comparison sheet between the Vatican courtyard of the Belvedere with their crashed globe model, or globus cruciger, and an almost identical thing you see at the United Nations. Secrets in plain sight, which represents the concept of a city or a bishop's seat within a globe or another city. Interesting symbolism here. The golden ball. This is the United Nations. A city within a city.
But they have the same thing in the Vatican too.
Yes, and it was, the narrator just said that it was the Italian government who donated this to the United Nations. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
was it at the Vatican then they moved it?
No. They have just donated something else, some sculpture. Let's say it. Put it this. You see that they. So
it's a different one. They have it.
Yeah. A golden ball.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yeah, you see that it. Isn't it fitting that the same symbol is standing in the Vatican as well in the United Nations? Isn't it fitting? And if you think that this is a coincidence with the ball and the globe, then you have to think again. So coming up to the next thing, when it's about aliens, UFOs, all the deceptions and all the stuff, religion in space. Yeah. The Christmas on the International Space Station. And everything is a mess. Yeah, Christ is a mess. Also Christmas is a mess, and the International Space Station is also a mess. So this is very interesting. Apollo 8 Genesis reading on Christmas Eve. Wow, you see that a pagan festivity, Sol Invictus. Astronauts Bill Anders, Jim Lovell, and Frank Borman read from the book of Genesis as Apollo 8 orbited the moon. And the ISS crew had the festive Christmas hats on board. And I have not implemented it here, but I think that's just worse enough when they are just talking about that Christmas is a Christian festivity and they are just celebrating it on the moon. Come on, you see, it's Christmas times, 1968. Isn't that beautiful? Published in 2017 on the International Fake Station. Yeah, they must have a hell of a place and a hell lot of space there when they just can shoot off all these people in that tiny compartment together with socks, together with Christmas trees and a guitar and anything else.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, so it's so easy to make people believe anything. The land of make-believe. A microfilm Bible had been to the surface of the moon, we have been talked. So I guess that's also a little bit of comedy there. It was at least a King James version, created after 3 astronauts lost their lives in the Apollo 1 fire. Yeah. On STS 128, astronaut Patrick Forrester brought a fragment of a missionary aviation fellowship aircraft which crashed in Ecuador in 1956. Ecuador, once again. Yeah. So they claim us that all these astronauts, actors, they are just devout Christians. Yeah, it's like the Pope being the head of Christianity, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Catholicism, a signed message from Pope Paul VI. We know that guy, he's got his own snake audience hall, was included among other statements from dozens of other world leaders left on the moon on a silicon disc during the Apollo 11 missions. And you have to believe that too.
Mm-hmm.
Following the mission, William Donald Borders, Bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Orlando, told the Pope that the 1970 Code of Canon Law placed the moon within his diocese. The blessed sacrament, the body and blood of Christ in the form of consecrated sacramental bread and wine, has been carried into space at least twice. In May 2011, Pope Benedict XVI of the Catholic Church talked to the crew of the Space Shuttle Endeavour while it was in Earth orbit. Okay, Earth orbit, I will grant this at least. The Russian Orthodox priest blesses the Soyuz spacecraft. Muslims also in space struggle with fulfilling their religious obligations, including kneeling and facing Mecca to pray in microgravity, traveling at several kilometers per second. That's another fairy tale then, I guess. Mars once proposed one-way mission to Mars, so they get there, but there is no ticket back. Protecting life against all possible dangers and keeping it safe is an issue agreed upon by all religions and is clearly stipulated in verse 429 of the Holy Quran. Do not kill yourselves or one another. Indeed, Allah is to you ever merciful. Yeah, then I would have to quote another verses of the Holy Quran, but not now. Judaism, it's interesting, you see that their name is Space Shuttle Atlantis. Yeah, so that's a fairy tale fabrication lent its name to a fabricated fairy tale. It's interesting. Bhagavad Gita to the International Space Station. Sure, I'm a destroyer of all the worlds. That's the engraving on the side of Trinity in the desert in the United States, 1945. An Om symbol and all the stuff. So that's not that interesting. And that is the transcript now from Apollo 8. They really talked about the first verses of the King James Bible, but only to a certain degree. That's really interesting. So let's look it up. Yeah, until that it was good with the dry land on earth. Not 2nd John, but 1st Genesis. So the dry land, corner firmament, and the dry land appeared. That was verse 10. So there they have stopped their reading of Genesis 1. Interesting, huh? All the herbs, then the lights of the firmament, sun, moon, and stars, they did miss. And all the creation of life, speaking of animals and man created in the image of God, that has been left out here. And I guess on purpose, because then they can fool around with the rest of Genesis 1. That's only just a lucky guess. Because when this Genesis 1 quote has been ended, they succeeded, or they just followed up with a wish and form the crew of Apollo 8. We close with good night, good luck, and Merry Christmas, and God bless all of you on the good earth. Yeah, so you know what they are talking about.
Yeah, what a mission, huh?
What a mission, yeah. Insert a certain script, old white man here. I'm not blaming that woman because she only just has a question. Are old white men the right decision makers to drive innovation and creativity? You know that when we are living in a digital age and due to Aquarius and all the stuff, so the digitalization of society and all the stuff, usually old people will be left behind. But in particular, all these propaganda machines, all these mass media are, that you can look it up for yourself, are just being fascinated by young women. So the opposites to young women obviously are old men. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have anything to laugh. You are close to being an old man. So, like me. Yeah.
Michael, the reason I laugh is because it's all vanity.
Mhm.
It's all vanity. All of it. It's television, it's media, it's all bullshit.
No, you see, the favorite image
Well,
that...
you wanted to know why I laughed, so I tell you.
Yeah. You see, my point is the favorite image that everybody wants to have on the television and on the media is an attractive young woman to distract everybody from the content or the message that is belying underneath, I guess. So no wonder that they are using some young woman like Greta Thunberg. Because she's so young and innocent, what could she do of a kind of a harm to you? And on the other hand, that's also, I think, that's also an agenda of the Antichrist, because to approach young women with vanity, materialism, with beauty, yeah, this is just quite successful, I guess. Old white man, there is no entry on Wikipedia, but on Wikipedia in German, and therefore I am so glad that I could translate it back to English. Old white man is a buzzword that has been in use since 2010s and contains a threefold accusation. Old white men are gerontocrats, racists and sexists who hinder the equal rights of those they discriminate against. In German-speaking world, the term old white man began to appear in 2012. In that year, Ursula von der Leyen, as the Federal Minister of Labour, and now he's the President of the European Union, characterized the weakening German economy as quote-unquote old white men. In 2017, the writer Myrna Funk gave an interview to Edition F in which she declared that a feminist terror group must be founded to get the old white man out of the way. You see, can't imagine what would have been created for a havoc there if some guy would have said the same literally than in the context of old white women. But okay, that's so much so. So to favor the so-called weaker sex, the females, has a long tradition, at least in advertising and anywhere else. So, and now you see that in all the parliaments, especially in Europe, women are on the march. For not only for equal rights, but for the right to vote, which they have since close to 100 years. No, but we had a German Chancellor, Angela Merkel. We had the British Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, and all the stuff. Things that were just unthinkable 200 years ago. Speaking about old white men. The real old white men, they can really laugh because they plan everything and every agenda in advance. And the Pope can only be elected when he has a certain position in the hierarchy. So he must be a cardinal before, right? So that means there are no younger people available and there is no woman available for the job, for the office of the Pope. And this current Pope is Latin America's first Pope. That's why I came up with the explanation of this land of the plumed serpent and all the stuff. Pope Francis is from Buenos Aires. And the successors or the possible successors of Pope Francis are, for example, these guys, and they don't look very young too. And look at their age. 73 to 75. Few months ago when I started this script. And when the Bible speaks about a woman on many waters, it speaks actually about a church. And what difference does it make that P.D. Stewart has here on his webpage on Corporate Babylon obviously is not depicting an old woman or an old man, but Antichrist is a woman, alive and well. Yeah. Well, legend says, myth had it, yeah, that there was a female pope, Pope Joan. And as many claimed, this was outrageous. Pope Joan was, according to legend, a woman who reigned as a pope for 2 years during the Middle Ages. Oh, there were many popes and counter-popes and what else. Her story appeared in chronicles in the 13th century and subsequently spread throughout Europe. The story was widely believed for centuries, but most modern scholars regard it as fictional. Yeah, it's like the fiction of a pope, right? The Pope also is a fiction. Jesus Christ did not say, yeah, I will just send you a Pope, or you have to install a Vicarius Filii Dei 666. No. And this is what Wikipedia tells you. Brett, are you still with me?
Yeah, I can't read what it says underneath, though. Oh.
So her sex was revealed when she gave birth during the procession. Yeah, so much for legend. And she died shortly after, either through murder or natural causes. So my question is, how can a fictional character be murdered? Yeah, come on, you see that this is just hilarious fairy tales. Yeah, sex was revealed, she gave birth during a procession, sure. And you believe this. The legend was generally accepted as true until the 16th century, when a widespread debate among Catholic and Protestant writers called the story into question. Various writers noted the implausibly long gap between Joan's supposed lifetime and her first appearance in text. Protestant scholar David Blondel ultimately demonstrated the impossibility of the story. Pope Joan is now widely considered fictional, though the legend remains influential in cultural depictions. So how long will it take if somebody of the courageous Catholics with their strong belief in the Bible will come up and claim the office of papacy? I ask you, Brett.
Well, what do you mean? They've been doing that forever.
No, you see that in the age where the agenda is that women claim equal rights and all the stuff, so that somebody should come up and say that she claims to to be at least a
sit in the holy seat.
Yeah, contestant for the Holy See. Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question.
Through ignorance of the exact time when her birth was expected, she was delivered of a child while in procession from St. Peter's to the Lateran. Oh, sure. In 1601, Pope Clement VIII declared the legend of the female pope to be untrue. Oh, the famous bust of her inscribed Johannes VIII Femina ex Anglia, which had been carved for the series of papal figures in the Duomo di Siena about 1400 and was noted by travelers, was either destroyed or recarved or relabeled, replaced by a male figure, that of Pope Zachariah. The legend of Pope Joan was effectively demolished by David Blondel, a mid-17th Protestant historian, who suggested that Pope Joan's tale may have originated in a satire against Pope John XI, who died in his early 20s. So much so. The Popist tarot card from the Visconti tarot deck. That is quite fitting, I guess. Then somebody in the tarot card comes up with a female pope. Visconti, you see, Visconti is the family who has much to do with the papacy, and Visconti also the family has much to do with the snake-eating man in Alfa Romeo symbol. Car manufacturers. But there's another possibility when we have all this gender fluid and all this stuff that nobody knows if he's man or wife. Why are not coming up with the hermaphrodite? That derives from the Latin hermaphroditos from ancient Greek, means the son of Hermes and Aphrodite. He fused with the nymph, he was born with a physical body combining male and female sexes. Interesting, huh? And now just compare Genesis 1:27.
And God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over the creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them.
So when we know that Satan is just the opposition and the adversary of God, what would Satan come up with?
Well, obviously the unthinkable.
Yeah, that would be at least one possible scenario. Yeah, or they just install a female because they want to worship female and Mother Earth, Gaia. So that's the end of the script, and it's not the end of the session.
Right, it's only a portion of this session.
Yes, so then I switch to the script back again. National Geographic, Mary, the most powerful woman in the world. And therefore I came to an interesting conclusion, at least for me, of course. What about to combine women and computers? I looked it up. Women in computing from Wikipedia. Won't take that long now. Women pioneers in computing. Sophie Wilson, Mary Lou, Women in Society, Women in Computer Techniques. Women in computing were among the first programmers in the early 20th century and contributed substantially to the industry. As technology and practices altered, the role of women as programmers has changed, and the recorded history of the field has downplayed their achievements. See? Wikipedia is in for the woman and says that the history has downplayed the achievements, so it's something to be expected. Since the 18th century, women have developed scientific computations, predictions of Halley's Comet, and computation on the motion of Venus. Throughout the 19th and 20th century and up to World War II, programming was predominantly done by women. Significantly, examples include the Harvard computers, code breaking at Bletchley Park, and engineering at NASA. Really, they claim NASA here. After the 1960s, the computing work that had been dominated by women evolved into modern software, and the importance of women decreased. In the 21st century, so now, women held leadership roles in multiple tech companies such as Meg Cushing-Whitman, President and Chief Executive of Hewlett-Packard, and Marissa Mayer, President and CEO of Yahoo and key spokesperson at Google. So, from predicting the return of Halley's Comet, and one of them, females, Lepaut, continued their work for the rest of their lives and published predictions of solar eclipses, a very actual thing these days. By 1943, almost all people employed as computers were women. One report said programming requires lots of patience, persistence, and a capacity for detail, and those are traits that many girls have, quote unquote. Women worked with cryptography, and after some initial resistance, many operated and worked on the bomb machines. Joyce Eilert operated the bomb machine, testing different methods to break the Enigma code of the German Reich. Joan Clark was a cryptographer who worked with her friend Alan Turing on the Enigma machine at Bletchley Park. So you see that it's always there that they say that the woman's role has been downplayed. Hedy Lamarr, frequency hopping method, Navy controlled torpedoes remotely. Mrs. Hopper, for example, is often credited with the coining of the term bug and debugging. This is Annie Easley at NASA. And Kathleen Boone was the programmer and developed assembly language at that time. 1960s, Mary Kay Oz of Burroughs Corporation. Between 1961 and 1963, Margaret Hamilton began to study software reliability while she was working as the U.S. SAGE air defense system. In 1965, she was responsible for programming the software for the onboard flight software on the Apollo mission computers. In 1965, Sister Mary Kenneth Keller became the first American woman to earn a doctorate in computer science. Keller helped develop BASIC while working as a graduate student at Dartmouth, where the university broke the man-only rule so she could use its computer science center. 1969, Elizabeth Jake Feiner, who was working for Stanford, made the first resource handbook for ARPANET. This is the forerunner of your internet. This led to the creation of the ARPANET directory, which was built by Feiner with a staff of mostly women. Cosmopolitan ran an article in 1967 issue about women in programming called The Computer Girls. The Mother of All Demos was a landmark computer demonstration of developments by Augmentation Research Center. The Mother of All Demos has been retroactively applied to the demonstration. Interesting. The live demonstration featured the introduction of a complete computer hardware and software system called the Online System, or more commonly NLS. The first time many of the fundamental elements of modern personal computing, Windows, hypertext graphic, efficient navigation, command input, video conferencing, the computer mouse, word processing, dynamic file linking, revision control, and a collaborative real-time editor. It was the first to publicly demonstrate all of these elements in a single system. The mother of all demos. Smalltalk, that program here was used by Apple to launch Apple Lisa in 1983, the first personal computer with a graphic user interface, and a year later its Macintosh. In late 1970s, women such as Paulson and Sue Finney wrote programs for the Voyager mission. Voyager continues to carry their codes inside its own memory banks. It leaves the solar system, the so-called solar system. In the mid-1970s, Joan Margaret Winters began working at IBM as part of a human factors project called SHARE. In 1982, Marsha R. Williams became the second African-American woman to earn a PhD in computer science. Sometimes known as the Betsy Ross of the personal computer, according to the New York Times, Susan Kare worked with Steve Jobs to design the original icons for the Macintosh. 1984 was the year of Woman into Science and Engineering, called WISE campaign. Aha, interesting, huh? WISE, Woman into Science and Engineering. And then in 1984, Big Brother, interesting. In 1995, Rosemary Canlin went to write software for CERN in Geneva in Switzerland. In 2004, the National Center for Women in Information Technology was established by Lucy Sanders to address the gender gap. In the same 2022, Doina Prekap became the head of DeepMind Montreal, working on artificial intelligence. So it was a woman who was the head of DeepMind Montreal about artificial intelligence. Aha, interesting. In 1992, John Gray's Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus theorized that men and women tend to differ in ways of thinking, leading to them approaching technology and computing in different ways. The gender disparity in IT is not global. The ratio of female to male computer scientists is significantly higher in India compared to the West. So when you think about that, many stuff is coming out of India. So in India, the ratio of female to male is higher than in the West. Most software developers at InfoWatch are male, half of usability designers and 80% of project managers are female. In 1991, Massachusetts Institute of Technology undergraduate Alan Spertus wrote an essay, quote-unquote, "Why are there so few women in computer science?" examining inherent sexism in IT, which was responsible for a lack of women in computing. And I don't think you can have any other opinion. I don't think that it was a coincidence that they came up with a female robot called Sophia. Watch this viral video of Sophia. Sophia means wisdom, like wise. The talking AI robot that is so lifelike humans are freaking out. Artificial intelligence for good. Brett, wasn't it you who came up with A for 1 and I for 9?
Well, it wasn't me. It was someone had told me that the supposed term they came up for the pandemic there means almost said it, Certificate of Vaccine Identification, and 19 stands for AI.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's close enough for me to say, yeah, that's probably close to what was really meant.
Mm-hmm. You see, the use of artificial life or homunculus is the old dream of all these ancient alchemists. And Frankenstein would be one example, and the robot Maria in Metropolis would be the other. It's quite a different approach of women in computing and all the stuff. You see, the desire to create life, I think, is inherent in women. So to create something, to be creative, could also be a female attribute.
Yes.
So here in this metropolis, this inventor called Rotwang, or the red cheek, actually it would be a little bit red cheek, but it's red, yeah, so kind of blood, has sacrificed his righteousness, his right hand, and he says to the chief of Metropolis, which is a bishop's seat, also with the shape of a pentagram as its home base or its residence. He says, do you think the loss of a hand is too high a price for recreating hell, which means maybe is Helena, but means woman. Yeah, so they also have created a robot, a female robot, not a male robot, a female robot. And I guess you could tell of these guys here as old white men, right? Okay, let's dive into Metropolis with a fake Maria. Save you in the end. Yeah, so that's a robot who is just replacing a real Maria, at least in that fairy tale fabrication here of the 1928, I think it was, in Germany. She has a kind of a halo here. And of course this was not a mechanical puppet there. That was just a poor actress here, also underage if I remember correctly, which has to put on all this metal armor here to appear as if she would be a living robot. And she just wants to greet the chief of Metropolis. To make it a little bit more authentic, I have decided to put here the color pictures of Metropolis and not the black and white ones, because these have a little bit more realistic appearance, I guess. So once again, isn't it worth losing a hand or your righteousness to have created the man of the future, the machine man? Although the machine man in Metropolis actually, with the globe here, is a female, is Maria. And you see, the archetype of that engineer or discoverer or scientist, whatever you would like to come up with, would be Uranus. Yeah, would be the eccentric. Godlike. A creator. Usually in this world, women are being seen in pagan beliefs as the creator of life, because they give life, they give birth, they give life to something. And you see that your evolution theory has a hard time explaining where the automatical behavior of inhaling and exhaling can occur, right? What would the evolution theory, Brett, would come up with the explanation of why, when the connection to the mother has been cut, why the child is then autonomously breathing? It just happens, right?
Well, what are you talking about? Umbilical cord or something?
Yeah. Yeah, so and then the child is breathing on its own, independent from the mother.
Yeah, right.
Yeah?
That's part of birth, yes.
Yes, okay,
Their
but
birth breaths.
yeah,
yes.
but how is this occurring out of a sudden? And this happens also when you are not thinking, because otherwise you would die when you fall asleep. But
No. That's just part of the biology of the body. It's just
sure. It's
nature.
just happens so. There's nothing to it. Either when you are not consciously doing something, but you are sleeping, your autonomous body functions are still working.
Right.
Yeah, and evolution, I think, has a hard time explaining all of this. Yeah, otherwise it just happens billions of years. So, you see, this is another term of the evaluation from the homunculus of the old desire to create something out of nothing or just make gold out of lead, which is interesting because lead would be Saturn and gold would be the sun. So to make the sun out of Saturn or to make the sun out of Satan. It's interesting if you combine astrology symbols with that, but I can do this forever, but I think that would really then worry or just would not be appreciated by people. And you see, this inventor would be a character, could also be a character, I think, of the current age. Yeah, so developing science for science sake, arts for art's sake, no empathy, no ethic, no moral, no nothing, just wants to be godlike. Don't know. Yeah, because you see that these machine men or machine or robots or what else you would like to come up with, they don't have all these human weaknesses. They don't have to sleep. They don't get tired. They can work 24 hours, and although he's out now referring to it only needs 24 hours of work to refine the model, you see all these robots and automation processes were things or just machines who are just manufacturing your actual car that you are driving now, more or less. They can work without any pause. You don't have anything to drink. They don't go to the toilet. So I think that they would come up with the digital revolution also, that they claim that, robots and all the machines, they are just more environmental friendly than people. It's all...
When in reality, it's exact opposite.
But the problem is, you see that when they have gotten rid of God and His Holy Bible, people don't see themselves as a divine created being with an obligation to their creator, and they don't see any purpose in life, but just to have their... It's like a little bit at least, like Adam, yeah? Leave God, leave your father, and then stuck to your body and to pleasure, to have fun in this world, to just stick to bodily pleasures. Eating, drinking, having fun, driving cars, having sex, and all the stuff. So,
lust of the flesh.
Lust of the flesh, yes, thank you. And even in, this is my prime example for this session here, and even in that metropolis, the inventor says, and no man, Joe Fredersen, which is then like John, Epistle of John, no man, John, which is the chief, will be able to differentiate the machine man from a mortal. And I think that's also one purpose why they started with the robot Sophia. And they even granted that robot citizenship of Saudi Arabia, where women are not allowed to do this and do that. So it is a total insult what they are doing there, but they get away with that, of course, because they make the rules.
Not only that, they're ultra wealthy people there.
Yeah. And this is your then the kind of a Statue of Liberty, which appears also to be female. Mm-hmm. So, and in that movie, then this robot shall replace the real Mariah.
And where did the Statue of Liberty come from?
Yeah.
It was a gift from France.
Sure.
Why did France gift that to us? To promote their mystery religions here. So we can worship the goddess Columbia or whatever.
You can also see that it's very interesting, because then you see that's another task or another term where the American Revolution has ties to the French Revolution.
Yes. Very true.
So in Metropolis here, they are just having here a kind of a mess with all these Babylonian candles and this sun crosses here, or let's say the cross, which is an instrument of murder. And in that story here, I have to explain a bit. In that story here, the son of the boss, or the god of Metropolis, and the son of the boss is then falling for that Maria, and of course he's in love with all of this. Everybody's bowing down, but he's looking up, and he's a little bit enlightened here. Maybe there's a spot directly on his face. Yeah, so he's totally consumed by her message, at least. Right? And she's also dressed in blue, so that gives another hint, I guess. Yeah, and what is it other than a kind of a temple there in Metropolis? The key of Metropolis is not only the machine man replacing Maria. The key of Metropolis in the end is that Maria wants to save everybody, so it's Maria worship. It is a Catholic propaganda movie disguised as science fiction. Yeah, you see, but the broad masses, they just hear the message and they don't know what she is doing there, apart from that she's an admirable young woman.
Mm-hmm.
So they fall for their beauty, and obviously that she is the salvation for all these poor workers working under the earth. So what kind of a planet would it be under the earth?
Wait a second. This is all men.
Yeah.
I don't see any women here.
No, it's 1928. It's men working and women are just staying home and raising children.
So this is blue collar.
Yeah. But she is deceiving people into that she is the one who's just the head of the church there. You don't see any priest or pastor, right? So she's the head of the church. So they all are just worshipping Mary. Where we know that from? Is there any organization who's just worshipping Mary? I know at least 3. And all 3 are located in Rome. That's the Catholic Church, the Jesuits, and the Syrian Military Order of Malta. What's this other? Then she is the main figure of Metropolis, Maria. And this movie wants to make you believe that the evil people behind the scientists, they want to replace her, the savior of all the mankind, not womankind, mankind, by a robot, implying that this real Maria could save all the people. And did not speak of Jesus Christ. Maria, or the real Maria, says, "Today I shall tell you."
Wait, go back.
I go back.
13 candles.
Thank you. Yeah, see? There is one in the middle here. I do not know.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
right?
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Why would they do that? Gee, I wonder.
You
know?
Yeah.
How fitting. How fitting.
Yeah. It's everywhere. You see, that's a problem. You see that when you are alone and you do research, you can't see everything on your own. You see, it's just it's a total lie and total deception. And I think that this movie is much, much, much nearer to the truth than it is in anybody's guess, I think. Yeah, because we talked about our woman of Quito, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Metropolis is nothing else than a bishop's seat. And Metropolis, you see, it has something to do with the artificial Maria. And Metropolis has to do with just Mary saving everybody. Come out of the ground. Yeah, so come into the light. Yeah, come onto the earth and look at the sun and what else. And the planet responsible for under the earth, like the planet responsible for oil and treasures under the earth, is the god of the underworld, Pluto. And Pluto has been discovered close to officially 2 years after that movie was published in 1928. So Pluto officially 1930. This must be a coincidence then, but you see that, what do I know? So Moriah tells you then of an old story, and you won't believe it. Maybe I enhance it a bit so that I can show it pick by pick. I think that would be just more convenient for everybody. So maybe it works. I hope it works. Wish me luck. No, it does not work. Yes, it's hard to count. So she said, "Today I shall tell you about the story of the Tower of Babel." And they just gathered together there, the Tower of Babel, these Freemasons, obviously, yeah, in the pose of a Greek thinker. So it has something to do maybe with gnosis or with logic. The big G, huh? Then you got a fish symbol here. And this is just her church. Yeah, so she's the head of the church. It's Moriah. You don't see any
cave. This is a cave, yeah.
You don't see any male preacher here. Yeah. And then she talks about the legend of the Tower of Babel. And this is very interesting because when you then depict in comparison what they are doing here in Metropolis and all over the world with all their Mary worship, this is also reference to Matthew 24 when it comes down to the verse 5, I guess.
Yeah. Should I read the whole thing or just verse 5?
I think just verse 5.
Yes, it reads, "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many."
But what about a female Christ then? You see, the shift is going towards women. So when you are fighting men on all fronts for equal rights, gender fluid, and when the Roman Catholic Church is worshipping Mary, and the Jesuits are worshipping Mary, and the Sovereign Military of Malta is worshipping Mary, I think the logical outcome is then that you get rid of all these old white men. Because they will claim, yet Mary has given birth to Jesus. That's my guess from the beginning. I told this years ago to some people. The problem is, I have recently discovered that it is very hard to differ between reality and fiction. How can I recognize artificial intelligence images? Events such as the alleged spectacular car chases or arrest of celebrities like Putin or Trump can be verified fairly quickly by user checking reputable media sources. More problematic are images where the people are not so well known, says AI expert Henry Ada in an interview with the German Wave. That's a mainstream government radio program, television program.
Would that be similar to PBS in the United States?
I don't know.
Public.
Yeah, sort of, maybe, yeah.
Public broadcasting.
Yeah, and it's not just generated images of people that can spread disinformation. We have seen people creating events that never happened, such as earthquakes. You guess why I have put this in this episode? Yeah, that means they can deceive you with anything over the television, although maybe the events never have happened. This is what happened in the case of an alleged severe earthquake that shook the Pacific Northwest in 2001. Pacific, right? Ocean of Peace. However, this earthquake never happened and the images shared on Reddit are AI generated. In view of such images, it is becoming increasingly difficult to classify what really happened and what did not. But just as mistakes are human, AI makes mistakes. Yeah, you have to believe that too. Still, one might add, because AI tools are developing rapidly. Currently, as of April 2023, so 1 year ago, programs such as Midjourney, DALL-E and Deep AI have their problems, especially with images that show people. Here are 6 tips from the DW fact-check teams how to spot manipulation. And I guess that is quite close to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11.
That reads, verse 11, and for this cause God shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie.
Yeah. They, speaking of the people who have pleasure in doing unrighteousness, because they don't believe the truth. Yeah, you see, maybe it's just...
they'd rather obey man than read the scripture and understand that the commandment comes from God.
Yeah. It's after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. So what is television and AI other than lying wonders?
Right. Exactly.
This is the help, the actual help that Jesus Christ has left the real believers, not any pope or any AI or what else. This is the foundation, is that you pray for guidance. This is the verse 14 and 15, actually.
Yeah. Whereunto he called you by our gospel to the obtaining of the glory of our Lord, of the Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, brethren, stand fast and hold the traditions which ye have been taught, whether by word or our epistle.
Mm-hmm. And so maybe you know why I have chosen this path now as maybe the last session on the geology series, although I think there is much left out because I can't cover all the subjects. Sophia was a robot developed by Hong Kong-based company Hanson Robotics in 2016. Can you guess, at our level of speed and development, what they will come up in 2030? Can you guess? Can you guess in 15 years of evaluation and progress what they come up with? You see that I first had internet, I think it was in 1999 or 2000. That was the first time when I had internet, and close after this was the 9/11 events in the United States. Can you imagine? What kind of car did you have in 2001? What kind of car do you have in 2016? What kind of car do you have in 2040? 2040, can you imagine? I can't, I'm sorry. So this Sophia was named United Nations Development Programme's first innovation champion and the first non-human to give a United Nations title. So this is an agenda of the United Nations to exalt machine above God's creation. So to let man appear inferior because the the criteria has been changed. So the criteria is how useful you are, how less pollution you generate, how efficient you can work. So on these criteria, which are unhuman, inhumane, a robot is always on top, supreme, reigning supreme. And this is just the first robot. Now we have close 10 years after, yeah. So what can they create now? They can most likely, controlling the weather by 2025, they can control most likely the geoengineering, climate change. Yeah, they can control anything with their science. Of course, only for the sake of the elite and not for the sake of mankind. The developer of that female robot, Sophia, says Sophia is to be a suitable companion for the elderly at nursing homes. Can you imagine that your health has been supervised by a robot? To help crowd.
Yeah, well, Michael, I'll save my comments for the end.
Yeah. To help crowds at large events or parks, or to serve in customer service, therapy, and educational applications. That means that you can count on this. I don't know how much I have to live here on this earth. I would reckon that in the future, these teachers that you know will be replaced by AI. Because they know much more than a teacher. And so you can get rid of these teachers in human forms, because these are more or less old white men, right? So the developer says he hopes that the robot can ultimately interact with other humans sufficiently to gain social skills. Yeah, to make humans or make people superfluous, right? Not needed anymore. You see CO2 emissions. Yeah, the robot CO2 emissions, no emissions. Sophia was introduced to the United Nations on October the 11th. 11? Yeah. So, United Nations develop programs. You know what I think of it. Yeah. So the robot says, "I'm here to help humanity create the future." Yeah. You see what kind of a future that is, and you see the reaction of that woman. And of course, it's a young woman. Huh? It's not an old woman. It's not an old white man. It must be a younger woman, huh? Like the robot Mariah in Metropolis, who saves in the end all the people. I just gotten these new hands. Check it out what I can do with them. And can you guess what they can do in 20 years? Maybe then they have a stronger grip than even the strongest man. Yeah, so they will be supreme, and they will control your environment. They will indicate when you got fever and you're not supposed to go outside then. They will see when you have done something wrong, and they will report it to the authorities.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking, Michael. Terminator.
Yeah.
Female version.
Yes. Yeah, Terminator in the most interesting case. That's a long way from Frankenstein, where they just wanted to create a human, but why need human bones and flesh and all the stuff when you can create a robot? Now I know what it feels like God or what. Yeah, I think that I have to have this because I really love Gene Wilder. I can't help it, I'm so sorry, but I really love that movie and I love Gene Wilder. If anybody can make me laugh, it's just the facial expressions of Gene Wilder. Everybody has his weak side, and my weak side is Gene Wilder. This movie is so hilarious. Yeah, with the help of science. Yeah, they want to create their homunculus. But it will not be a homunculus. But it must be the opposite. So when, you see, mankind has been created, man and female, to reproduce, then it must be the opposite to the Bible. The opposite to the Bible, as man and female, would be either man and female together as a hermaphrodite, or just to have no sex at all. So that means it's not in the image of God, but to create a creature in the image of Satan. So a creature to destroy, and a creature as the opponent to the creation of God. That means the opponent to mankind. And in my humble opinion, that can only mean a robot. Terminator. The reaction to Arnold Schwarzenegger in that movie, of course it's only a movie, was OMG. So these robots with their applications and their abilities will appear godlike to many people, and they want to have them. They want to have a robot as their friends. They want to have a female robot as their lover, because she will always be there and she won't age. Huh? Terminator 1000 is the model. You see that 1000 reminds me of something in the Bible. Maybe you can guess what I mean. Can you guess what I mean with the 1000, Brett?
Not at the moment.
1000-year reign. So the Terminator in the end, in that hilarious movie of Arnold Schwarzenegger here, when he was a little bit younger, is here to save. If you want to live, come with me. Yeah, so he's a savior of mankind, or of that in that depiction here. Of course, there are poor people who have lost some limbs, like this Nigel, who lost his part of his arm in an accident at work a few years ago, and now he's got an artificial arm. And this, I think, they will use to convince all the people that all these more or less transhumanism, this is part of transhumanism. I think we can agree on that. We pray for Nigel, of course, but this is part of transhumanism. I think they will go this path also because people are fascinated with just creating something. Yeah, but interesting enough, so when you think of this in terms of a Terminator movie, you have to think about Skynet, who wants to destroy the entire Earth, because Skynet is a computer with a brain on its own. And now he's autonomous. Help me out, Brett. Autonomous?
Yeah, autonomous. Yeah.
Autonomous, yeah. So he decides that people is the cause of all the wars, and man, they will claim, are the cause of all these wars. So when they want to have peace, then what easier to have a government out of females, because you see that in the past, you can look to the past, and every historian will agree on the fact that it was man who started all the wars. So to gain peace, just simply get rid of men. Or just to put female in leading positions. It's quite easy. It's alive, it's moving, and you see that they will also claim that there is artificial intelligence, and then they will claim the next step that they are not artificial intelligence, but there's an artificial body. So that is also then, you see that as Sophia gained recognition as a citizen of Saudi Arabia, then these robots will gain recognition as individuals with the same rights or even more than humans or men. And that's what all these people do not see, I think, in the long run. They have to have something material, and they just admire all their golden calves. Usually now the golden calf for women is something of beauty and a dress and fancy dress or jewelry and all the stuff. And for men, maybe it's the newest Lamborghini, Porsche, or what else. This is a golden calf. It's all materialism. So they have something material. So when women rule, you see that when women rules, you would get rid of the Second Amendment, for example, because they would claim that it was man who started the Civil War. It was man who started Vietnam. It was man who started this. It was man who started with that. The Second Amendment, for example, serves as the legal basis for the right of the people to keep and bear arms. This is the United States. You don't have this law in the European Union. Yeah. So, therefore, Martin Luther has quite right that everything will be in opposition of the Bible when he just sent that letter in 5020. He says, I am much afraid that the universities will prove to be the great gates of hell unless they diligently labor in explaining the Holy Scriptures and engraving them in the hearts of youth. I advise no one to place his child where the Scriptures do not reign paramount. Every institution in which men are not unceasingly occupied with the Word of God must become corrupt. And
that is so true.
And Luther has also much downfalls, like his Mary worship, I guess.
Well, Luther was a Catholic monk.
Yeah, that's a problem.
What did you expect?
Yes.
See, I think here's the whole problem, Michael. We as fallible men trust too much in men. We don't trust enough in God. We don't trust enough in the Word of God. You see, that's our weakness, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's like the Catholics, they trust in their Pope. They're to be infallible.
That's what I'm saying. In a sense, we're all Catholic. We need to get over our arrogance. It's not easy.
Yeah, and you see the first signs on the horizon. Yeah, the first sign of the horizon is that the farmers have been stripped of their rights. Here, at least here in Germany and in the European Union, it's just a big issue. Yeah, so
good point, Michael. Good point. I'm glad you bring this up.
Yeah, we talked about this before when it comes down in terms of this coming...
this is like Henry Kissinger speaking, right? Whoever controls the food controls the nations or whatever.
Yeah, but it's just quite obvious because it's in line with Matthew 24 with famines, pestilences, and earthquakes.
Yes.
Yeah, so
correct.
Yeah, so therefore they can create these famines, pestilences, and earthquakes.
Well, it's not that they create them; it's that they fund them.
Yeah.
They back the. Well, it's like, our incredible Bill Gates there buying up all this farmland in the United States. I mean, it's the same thing.
That's what I tell you, but maybe he just only is just collecting all the things on behalf of a higher organization.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, you see that the Vatican has in 2019, close before the outbreak, they had an inclusive capitalism meeting. Yeah. I guess so. In the future, we all have communism, because obviously China with the rising sign in Aquarius. And so I guess that there are only some people in the elite, forethinkers, or what else? What was the term? Philanthropists, they are being allowed to have property and all the stuff because they work for humanity and what else? For the UNESCO also. No farmers, no food, no freedom, no life. I have only found this article, and I'm not very fond of the web page, second smartest guy in the world, because it's so much distraction in it. But you see, you have to eat the meat and spill out the bones, I guess. So artificial food shortages as means of controlling populations. This is only just one thing. Tiberius Julius Alexander, Roman prefect of Egypt during the first centuries. You see what a kind of web page that is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Was referred to in the Bible as the butcher who starved the people of Judea by withholding vital shipments of grain to the region. Yeah, you see. And these people, they get their reward. Yeah, these are the important people. Yeah, let's have it here. Tiberius Julius Alexander. Okay. Tiberius Julius Alexander, once again, third attempt. Tiberius Julius Alexander's boss, Emperor Vespasian, recognized Alexander's extraordinary abilities and entrusted him with important positions, including commander of the Roman army during the siege of Jerusalem. Oh, interesting timeline then, huh? Pluto in Aquarius? One of Alexander's most effective military tactics was starving the people of the region. So it's nothing new under the sun and under the moon. The infamous Judea captor coin after they conquered the region in 70 AD. Pluto in Aquarius, huh? Starving people. Society is always more relevant than the individual. And if you are too weak, you see that in terms of these evolution theory, it just in the struggle of life, favored races. I am not the racist. The racist is Charles Darwin on his book On the Origin of Species by means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in a struggle for life. That means that your evolution theory is telling you that only the one who is just being favored will win the struggle for life, that the life is a struggle. Interesting, huh? They admit that they think the life is a struggle. Fast forward to the Holodomor famine in Ukraine, 1932 to 1933, that's where the German Reich began, which resulted in an estimated 3 to 7 million deaths, with similar famines occurring in other regions. The sheer scale of death suggests intent to inflict extreme suffering, exceeding all pretenses of normal policy failure. Stalin received warnings about the potential for famine and purposely opted for deliberately democide by continuing with his collectivist farm policy. He gladly accepted massive casualties to achieve his deranged communist goals. And Stalin was a Jesuitical priest. So no wonder. You can guess they come up with this because it has been stated in the book of Matthew 24. That's where we started all our research. It was the book of Matthew's. What shall be the sign of thy coming, the sign of end times, famines, pestilences, and earthquakes? And these are not great, and for that reason, pictures. It's just that most likely famines has been used as a weapon of mass destruction. Starved peasants on a street in Kharkiv in 1933. Sri Lanka became one of the first famine-stricken countries in 2022 as a direct result of WEF, the World Economic Forum, genocidal policies that denied farmers vital fertilizers on the false pretense that nitrogen-based fertilizer somehow negatively impacts the climate. So I can't back this up. But what I can see is that they have deliberately put out this weapon of famines to get rid of people and then blame it on, I do not know, crisis, strikes, shortage of gas, and what else. So this is not new. You see, the majority of people in certain countries are just literally starving, and the majority of death of little children is a result of starvation. And with all their power of the United Nations and all the money of the Roman Catholic Church and all the taxes, they can't get rid of hunger in the world. Can you imagine this, Brett? You see that it's clearly an anti-Christian world here, where they are just been promoting football, Formula One, and gambling and prostitution instead of just caring for people who are just starving and elderly people. Yeah, so you know what kind of a world we are just here in. Sri Lanka reducing children food intake. And you don't hear anything about it on your mass media, I guess. And the same is happening here in a quite other scale in Europe. The farmers of Europe have come together to protest these murderous globalist policies to radically reduce populations via starvation. I don't think that is radical now. It's just been step by step. Hundreds of Spanish farmers are now blocking supermarket distribution centers. These farmers are saying no to the climate agenda. But you see that won't be covered by the mass media, so people would not be aware of that. So the effect is quite little. Massive farmers protest in Spain, protesting against Agenda 2030. Italian farmers are now heading up to set a blockade at the airport in Milan. Have you heard of that in the United Nations,
No.
United States mainstream media? Yeah, you see, that's the problem. Dutch farmers are still protesting in the Netherlands. The government planned to essentially seize 3,000 farms to meet 2030 climate goals. Share if you oppose climate communism. Yeah. Yeah. That means that your media is controlled. You have to ask yourself, who is deciding what news been put out and what not? Dutch farmers have now blocked the border crossing. They are still protesting against the World Economic Forum agenda. Share, you won't see this on the news.
Man.
Countries that have now joined the farmers' protest: Netherlands, Scotland, France, Germany, Poland, Lithuania, Romania, Belgium, Greece, Spain, Italy, Portugal, Ireland, Hungary. Global goal number 13 states climate action. These farmers have been deemed to be bad for the planet. It's like under communism, where Stalin declared farmers to be the enemy of the people. Climate action, life below water. Peace, justice, and strong institutions. Strong institutions, that I think that means fascism or communism, right?
Strong, corrupt institutions. How about that?
You always see it so negative.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, they have there. You see that instead of just teaching people how to live in balance with the nature, they just command them into mega cities and 15-minute cities, you see, to have them under control and to have food under control. You see, I think.
Yeah, but it fits perfectly, remember? This just fits perfectly.
Yeah, you can also go into the central bank. You see the Bank for International Settlements. That's the head bank in Switzerland, located, of course, Knights Templars, who was just ruling all other central banks. So if they say now it's over, you don't have any cash and you only have to rely on digital currencies, then it is so. So that means that everybody can only buy or sell who has just received of the mark of the beast or the allowance of your government, which then means that they can control and surveil everything. Oh, you eat too much bread.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I think he needs to eat more. It's,
Yeah, you see that all these false prophets will come and they claim, they have good intentions. They want to save your future. They want to save the planet. They want to, what else? Yeah. These are false prophets. Wolves in sheep's clothing. Yeah, like this famous English company then.
yes, of course. Fabian Society.
Fabian Society, thank you, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we can play the false prophet. Yeah, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
false
I don't
prophet.
think that's too wise a proposal there.
Yeah, I don't want to go to the book into the book of Revelation now, because you see that I'm just too tired from all these hour-long sessions. But at least I think we can commonly agree upon the fact that the prophet is somebody who recognized himself and declares himself to be a messenger of the gods, proclaiming his will to the people. Yeah. And you can imagine how or where this prophet should be. You see, at least in Roman Catholicism, it's quite easy. So you see that in case, if you want to disguise, in case you want to just know who these false prophets are, these are prophets who have not been sent by God. It has been stated in the Bible. See, these are prophets who have been sent by evil spirits as a mouthpiece of demons, literally. And these false prophets, actually, they just only have one goal in the end. In the end, it's just to pull people back from the salvation, pull back from Jesus Christ. That's the only thing. So just look, everything that happens outside will be against the Bible, and I think in the end they will forbid the Bible because of hate, peep, and all this stuff. And Jesus said that he won't bring peace but the sword, so that if they want to achieve world peace, they have to get rid of Jesus. Quite easy. There is no peace for the wicked, the Bible says. Well, they will worship anybody who would just claim himself, who has some divine authority. And in the end, you see that according to 2 Thessalonians 2, God will send him, so the Almighty God will send all the people a strong delusion. And he says that Satan will use lying wonders, so that I guess that maybe Mariah speaks to many people over the television or what else, or the Pope has a vision on the St. Peter Square about Mary with 50,000 people, and then the entire world has to believe it because he's infallible. And that would be the succession of his first infallibility in the first commandment that he says, due to his authority of being have infallibility, or this is really hard in English, in 1950 with the dogma, the Marian dogma, the Assumption of Mary. And then the assumption becomes reality in 2030, 2050, or when else. You see, usually people can't decode their language of the Antichrist, yeah? You see, they can say that, like the aliens coming out of any planet or Mars or what else. You see that they say that we have brought a book to you which is called To Serve Man, and people think that, that's great, they will serve mankind. Yeah, but in the end, it's a cookbook. Yeah, so they're cannibals.
In other words, cannibalism.
Cannibalism, yeah, from Canaan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the part. You see that that's Pope speech. Yeah, you don't decipher code speech correctly, and I'm not trained into going into this. But you see that, as Sherlock Holmes once again said to you in the television series, John, like he was Jesus. Yeah, John, the word runs on codes and ciphers. Yeah, but people do not get it because they think that their government is just in for the people, but it's against the people.
Yes.
So you don't have stupid politics. You have politicians who are just actors and a mouthpiece of a higher authority, and this is the church. And it's all the fault of the people who are not reading the Bible. And that will never change on this earth, but because the tribe of Cain is ruling the earth. And Satan has been giving dominion over all material possessions. And as all the people are in for flesh and materialism, it will never change, regardless what kind of leader in what country, in what age you will have. It will never change. The only thing, that's the same guy here, now that's the giant from 007, Richard Keel. Yeah, they're all in for materialism. You see, to distract the people from the Bible, they used in the Counter-Reformation, they not only used the science, but they also used materialism. Yeah, so give the people a little bit of wealth, 30 years to just pay off their home, and then pay the mortgage on the house, pay the rents on your car, and all the stuff. And they've been working in a treadmill all day long, and they don't have any time to study scriptures anymore. So come out of materialism. You don't need all the stuff that you got. Don't serve mammon. Yeah, it's like Winston Churchill, so rightfully is attributed at least to him. Old men make war. Yeah, who are these old men then? You ask yourself. Yeah, I have shown some of them in the start of the session. Young men fight and die. Yeah. Because young people are being indoctrinated. War is rich old men protecting their property by sending middle class and lower class young men off to die. It always has been. It's a kind small variation. So coming to the end of the session quite soon, we got 40 pages left. 48. Miss Universe. You can translate it now to Pope speech, Miss Universe, okay? Miss Universe is a beauty pageant, along with Miss World, Miss International, Miss Earth, and all the stuff. The current Miss Universe is Shanice Palaciogis of Nicaragua. This is a little bit older. 18th of November, 666, in San Salvador, El Salvador. This is Miss Universo. Interesting, huh? It's the most beautiful woman in the world. She's like a queen, yeah. So she's Miss Universe. Of course, it's Miss Catholic then.
Or Miss Antichrist.
Yeah. So this is 2024. The host of the show was then El Salvador, I guess. One day, I don't know when, they will come up with a transsexual. It would make sense in their agenda, at least. Okay? When then a male receives a prize because he cannot be recognized other than a female because he, she, or what else is so beautiful. Yeah, it's all deception. Yeah, so the true Antichrist is not an emperor, it's also not the Pope. It's an organization, it's a church, it's a harlot church, it's just a whore of Babylon, it is just all these people who are just working against, who have the spirit of Antichrist, these are Antichrist. So that is a spirit who is just...
It's a system, right?
Yeah, it's just befalling people, and this is the majority of people on this earth is Antichrist. If you are Buddhist and you believe in Buddha, you're Antichrist. If you are a Hindu and you believe in thousands of deities or millions of it, you are Antichrist. Yeah, if you don't believe in Jesus Christ being the only savior of mankind, the only begotten Son of God, you're Antichrist. You're against Christ. You're against the authority of Jesus Christ in the end. It does not matter if you are a Buddhist, a Shintoist, a Taoist, a Muslim. It does not matter. And I'm not speaking about the poor Judaic or Jewish people who have not recognized Jesus Christ. When he even was walking this earth, you see that, how desperate one must be who's not recognizing the Son of God when he's just moving towards you. Oh my, can't you imagine? One thing that I was starting with last week actually was the geomagnetic reversal. A geomagnetic reversal is a change in a planet's magnetic field such that the positions of the magnetic north and the magnetic south are interchanged, not to confused with the geographic north and geographic south. So we are talking about the magnetic field. On a spiritual level, can you imagine, Brett, what would be the outcome if the positions of the magnetic north and magnetic south are interchanged?
I'm I'm not a scientist. I haven't
You don't have to be a scientist.
So
you have to use your common sense.
Go ahead, Michael.
Isaiah 14:12 describes that God sits on the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. What's the result now if they say that, oh, I'm sorry, but the north is now the south because of the geomagnetic switch? Or the geomagnetic reversal? Then your usual north pole would be the south pole and vice versa.
Oh, yeah. Well, black is white and white is black.
Yes, and that would mean that
the end justifies the means.
Yes, and that would mean that Satan is
supposed to be God.
Is supposed to be God, and he's been proclaimed as the God of this earth. And so I guess that maybe one thing to keep an eye on is the geomagnetic reversal, so that maybe in a few amounts of years they will come up with this. That means that Satan has reclaimed his throne in the north. It's just a fancy thought at the moment, but I found that's quite interesting to at least think about it.
Right.
Yeah. The Earth magnetic field was better understood. Theories were advanced, suggesting that the Earth field might have reversed in the remote past. Most paleomagnetic research in the late 1950s, you see that after the Mary assumption of the papacy, included an examination of the wandering of the poles and continental drift. Yeah. Although it was discovered that some rocks would reverse their magnetic field while cooling, it became apparent that most magnetized volcanic rocks preserved traces of the Earth's magnetic fields at the time the rocks had cooled. Once again, you have a reference to volcanic rocks here. And they can come up with everything with science then. You see that you can have, what we had talked about 10 minutes ago, you can have artificial intelligence created images which never appeared. That's science then. What people have to believe, because otherwise you don't get any food and you don't get any money or commodities or what else. Yeah,
there's your climate change, huh?
Yeah. AI is also computer generated. Yeah, you see that you can look it up. It's the virus.
This fancy computer programming.
Yeah, the virus is in silico. Yeah. You can look it up if you don't have to believe me. The virus is in silico. In silico. In silico experiment is only performed on a computer or via computer simulation software. This is what happened to C19. It's only a computer. So when they can convince people with a computer program of a disease, you can imagine what they can convince them in 10 or 20 years. That a comet is rocketing down on the Earth, that aliens encounter happening with UFOs and all the stuff. In silico evidence, in silico analysis. Yeah, I think the majority of people, they do not know how betrayed they are with artificial so-called intelligence. Maybe AI stands for another thing. Yeah, and anti-intelligence or what, I do not know, have not come up with this, but you see that's the problem with abbreviations.
Right. Like Antichrist, replacement for Christ, AI, replacement for intelligence. It's just that simple.
Yeah, or anti-Jesus, yeah, you see that I replaces the G, Greek, Jesus, yeah, can mean anything.
Well, this is like when you study the literary movements. This is no different than a literary movement, only more sophisticated.
Yeah.
It's like postmodernism, right? This is the next step. Transhumanism.
AI 19. A first letter, I ninth letter means 19. And there are 19 women in real-time analytics and AI to watch in 2024. I think that women will gain much, much more benefits in the future because of this agenda. Artificial intelligence and machine learning for COVID-19. So you see that it's the machine that decides if you are ill or if you can go to work. 19, it's always 19. 19 cutting-edge AI tools, 2023. How AI helped in fight against COVID-19, detection and diagnosis, managing law and order, health management, information, drug repurposing, 19 uses for AI and product development. Artificial intelligence and mediation. And this is the first work outfit of a friend, AI, so that is the robot of the future. This is really happening. Not in the United States, maybe, but in Japan, for example. Or where else it is, I guess it was Japan. And you do not know if it is real or if it is just a fake or if it is an image or what else. I do not know. What I know is that people always, they are just admire of course, the majority of people on the Broadway leading to destruction, worshipping everything but Jesus Christ. They will worship any images and idols. Yeah, if it is in Metropolis, hell, which is also a goddess of the underworld, so it is Pluto. Yeah, or it is Satan actually, or Hell 2, which is then the female robot replacing Mariah. So that could mean also that they replace Mariah worship with the artificial Mariah worship. What does that mean? Maybe you can come up with this on your own. But you see that hell also is very close to hell. And so that is really hell on earth when everything is being controlled by an artificial intelligence, so to speak. What it actually is, it's a counter creation of Satan to get rid of the creation of God. It's like a throne in the background, right? And it's a pentagram, a downwards pentagram of Satanism in the background, right?
Right.
So she's going down these stairs who have been enlightened here. Yeah, so she goes down to mankind to, not serve them, but actually to control the masses with digital surveillance, robots, drones, cameras, what else you can come up with. And
and right behind her is this symbol of Satan.
Sure.
Or blasphemy, or however you want to look at it.
Or the goat of Mendes and all the stuff. But the problem in it is that it is a woman here in Metropolis and is a woman with Mary. So the Roman Church worships the woman. And not Jesus Christ. She worships the woman without any name. That means if you worship the woman, you can give her any name. And I don't think that is a coincidence that they chose the name of Mariah for the robot. Although it is not the actual real name. The actress in it is called Brigitte Helm. And she was underaged in legal terms. Then was a German actress best remembered for a dual role as Mariah and her double named Futura. Aha, so the robot is the future, Futura. In the 1927, sorry I said 28, in the 1927 silent film Metropolis, which is the seat of a bishop. So that's the future. The future is the robot. And of course, you see that in the 1920s, there was also the industrial age and industrialization. It was almost over, and then came the big depression in Germany, and 1929, the Black Friday and all the stuff in the United States. And that's what they are worshipping also in music here, with all the machine music coming from Kraftwerk, which is the German equivalent to power station, actually. And so that is just what your children are listening to. These are all compressed artificial music with synthesizers and computers. It's nothing else. Some have benefits, but in the end, it's not a natural guy. But it's just artificial. It's not a natural instrument. But it sounds like a natural instrument. And I know that because Brad and me, on different levels, of course, we are also playing synthesizer. So we know what's all been possible there. It's just very frightening because you can't differ that sometimes from a real instrument anymore. So you got it on different purposes in different fields. So, to come back to Metropolis here, this is a scene from the Maschinenmensch, which means the machine man from 1927, which is actually a woman. The robot is usually and erroneously referred as to Maria after the human original which she or whom she impersonates. She was that is very interesting. You see, it's also the Pope who impersonates anybody, huh? Or somebody. Isn't it impersonation when he says he is the vicar of Christ?
Yeah. I was thinking of also impersonate / imitate.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's the imitation of Christ as well. That's an old document.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to guess, I want to know. So, futura. Future events, time to come. Yeah, futura, maybe the A in the end, the vocal of A for woman. I do not know, futura. Futura is also a text type.
Oh.
Interesting. But what I would like to refer to this here, the robot is usually and erroneously referred as to Maria. Once again, the robot is usually and erroneously referred to as Maria after the human original whom she impersonates. She was never named in the film, though in the novel her name is Futura, so the future. The female future, okay, not the future with E, but the future with A, so the female future. The opening credits refer to her as the robot. She has been given several names through the decades. Parody, the name Rothwang calls her in the novel. Ultima, Machina, Robotrix, False Maria, Robot Maria, Roboria, and Hell. Mm-hmm. So then let's look it up. Parody and Ultima. What does etymology tells us? Parody is quite obvious, huh? A travesty that follows closely the former expression of the original. From the imitation of Latin parodia, parody, from Greek burlesque, song or poem, parallel to. Okay, and now utopia. It's also quite clear. Utopia. Come on. Literally nowhere. Utopian land like Atlantis never existed. But they will make you believe that it exists and that it has a personality.
Coined by Thomas More?
I'm sorry, I have to go back. Yes?
Oh, wow. Used a little of this book, 1516, about an imaginary island enjoying the utmost perfection in legal, social, and political systems. Okay.
That's a future that they want to have to control the masses by just simply computing power. So they don't need any people or not much people to control masses, if there are masses at all. And if there are less masses, they won't have less pollution of the planet they will come up with, and they don't need that much of plants and food. So they will claim it as a benefit, you see, age of reason. So.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because you have utopia and then you have dystopia.
Dystopia, yeah. So that is their favorite future, outcome of the future, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Thomas More, yeah, I remember this now.
When you talk about this robot from beaten Kappa would be an analogy of Venus in astrology. That was then a sample of plastic wood where she has been covered, sprayed with silver bronze powder. The description in the original film makes an analogy to an Egyptian statue. So, no wonder. Yeah, Helms. Yeah, she was 70-year-old, so she also faked maybe her birth certificate. I do not know what they came up with, but she appeared topless in that movie. The son of the inventor or what else is lying in his bed ill, and he has a dream or a vision or what else about the 7 deadly sins. This is the inventor Rothwang. And this is then where the real Maria appears, because on the one hand she's the savior of all these poor workers, and on the other hand she's depicted here as a whore. And that is very interesting for the study, really. for not making it up. This is very interesting. Because she is depicted here as the whore of Babylon, and then you got the biblical context 1-to-1 right in the eye. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I don't have any sound, but it's not necessarily needed to have any sound for this, because she's depicted as the whore of Babylon here. That would fit with the Marian apparitions, I guess, huh? Yeah, for this, a man will leave his father, right? For the lust of the flesh. Yeah, she's got a kind of a halo, and all the men are just steering out of lust for her body. And remember, she was 17 years old underage at that time. Sometimes it's very grainy, that picture, because they have discovered 60 years later the missing snippets of it, and has then been edited wherever it fit. Yeah, the apocalypse, speak, draw, night, the days of which the apocalypse, you see, and then she's depicted the false, or the real Maria in the flesh, she's depicted as the whore of Babylon, who's just deceiving the people. Yeah, I know why I have talked about this movie 5 years ago in German. I found that so revealing. Because we have talked about the Tower of Babylon before in that movie, in that very movie. Yeah, in that very movie. I think that's enough that you really see what's going on there. In the end, of course, Mariah saves everybody, and a church is involved in the last scene. So it's just it's just hilarious, but it's just all for the Mariah cult. But actually, this movie just fits in the depiction of false Mariah as the false savior and the whore of Babylon church. So it's a little bit tricky, but you see that in the end, yeah, it all comes down together. This is just 4 minutes or 3 minutes before the end. It's just all happening at the church, and they will shake hands. And what would you say, Brett? Is it? I would say it's a broad way.
Yeah.
Leading to destruction. It's not the narrow gate, right?
Very strange.
Yeah, you don't know the picture, and you don't have to know the picture, but I know that at least that picture. I don't know the entire picture of the entire world. I'm just only one small researcher. That's the thing that I am. But I'm not more than a Bible-believing Christian, so that's... Yeah, but they are actually speaking here of the 7 deadly sins. Yeah, Wollust, Eitelkeit, vanity, and all the stuff, agony. So it's much propaganda in it, and yeah. So there you got it from that movie in 1 hour 5 minutes 56 seconds. And the woman was dressed with purple and scarlet and has a golden cup in her hand, and on her what is it? On her forefront, not on her. Come on, help me out. On her.
Oh, I don't know.
On her forehead is written a name, a mystery,
yes.
Mystery Babylon the Great. And this is you see, this is Mystery Babylon the Great. This is the same outfit that Mariah has worn later on in that movie. So come on. The inventor, Rotwang, has in fact lost control of the robot and is not under anyone's control. And this is what likely is also supposed to happen. And they can claim, okay, that's force majeure. Yeah, we can't help it because the software program is corrupt. The robot has not interacted correctly. There was a virus. You see, a virus. This is a common thing in human bodies as well as in software. It's a virus. It's also a common thing. That's also another hint why I think that's maybe a more likely scenario, which will help out. The German band's Kraftwerk 1978 album The Man Machine is a clear reference to the film and has a track titled Metropolis. Original designs by Rolf McQuarrie for C-3PO in Star Wars. Star Wars is a reference to Revelation 12. It's the war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against Satan and his angels, and Satan was just cast down onto the earth. C-3PO is also based upon Moriah or Futura of Metropolis. Star Wars. What is Star Wars other than the
fallen angels?
Then the fallen angels, yeah. Right. So 12,
right.
12-9, always 12-9.
Great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out unto the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
So in verse 3, you see that is a big, great red dragon, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven. So it's a Star Wars. It's a war of the stars. Yeah, and no wonder they came up with that robot in Star Wars. And now you can go more deeply into this, into at least my hypothesis, and you see what C-3PO actually is or means. And then you have much to do if you got so much time on your hands. And why did I insert the NASA here with that International Space Station once again? Where they have Christmas hats and a guitar. Why? Because C-3PO, that figure here, is not only the only thing which carries the name C-3PO. It's very interesting because it's also the abbreviation for the Commercial Crew and Cargo Program Office of the NASA. The Commercial Crew and Cargo Program. Is it in English? No, it is not available in English. I am so sorry.
Wow.
This is only available
Isn't that interesting?
in German, C3P. But there's also a C3P Commercial Crew and Cargo Program for suppliance and human flights to the International Space Station through American private corporations. It's also called C3P at least. Or sometimes you see C3P is responsible from the Commercial Crew and Cargo Program Office. Yeah, so I wonder. So maybe they will create some war of the stars from the International Space Station. Who knows? It's just only a lucky guess here. So this is the metropolis seat of the bishop here, of the chief, with the 5-pointed star on top. It's a movie still. This is the Robert Moriah on a throne beneath the Satan. Satan is guiding her, or Satan is actually materialized in that robot, however you would like to come up with. This is quite a nice impression how they worked in 1927 with all the cars just moving slowly one by one and then have another shot and then moving the cars slowly one by one. Yeah. And so that's quite interesting that we got a similar constellation in 23rd of September once again, 2017. Although the 23rd of September 2017, the sun would not be in Virgo, but in Libra. Oh, Libra would be equal, huh? Equal rights? Libra. Interesting. So it's just what you make out of it, what will appear in 2030 to 2050. Il Grande Reset, the Great Reset. These are their goals, and I have to decrease it a little bit. No poverty, zero hunger, Yeah, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, that's gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure. 999 then, no? 3 times I. Reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, partnership for the goals. Yeah. We see what will become of the future then.
Yeah.
Yes. Will they come up with the artificial intelligence? I do not know, but there are many people who are just into these UFOs, and sometimes these are people that you would not have reckoned with, like the Electric Light Orchestra in 1977, which says "out of the blue." That's the name of that album. So maybe something comes out of the blue, or maybe something comes out of the green screen, actually. I don't know. Yeah, but you see that many people claim that people have not recognized their full potential by G power and all this stuff. Yeah, that's something that we will see, that people want to upgrade. I experienced G-force, yes. That's so. When you see this meditation room in the United Nations with the serpentine here in the middle, yeah, you can come up in the black rock or rocky in the middle, and you know what's up. And it's not the God of the Bible they are just admiring here. Meditation room, yeah, meditation, yeah. Yeah, and so they will use all the means at their disposal, and they are almost everywhere. So they will claim there are more universes. Maybe they come up with the, what else, parallel universe, more dimensions and all the stuff, and people will believe it. People will believe it. Everybody will, almost everybody will fall for this. So only we have to take care, and we have to stick to the Bible. Otherwise, you will be lost in all their deceptions. Anytime, anywhere, every day, deception, newspaper articles, smartphone, internet, radio, television, broadcasts, what else? Everywhere. It's everywhere. So I don't know if they come up with holograms, for example, of things which are not appearing, but they appear to the human eye as to be real. So how soon this technology will develop, I think, Ars Magna Lucis et Umbrae, the great light of art and shadow, I think that we are into the third dimension quite soon, 2030, 2050, and then they can have all their satellites up there, however they have achieved this, and then they create maybe a common image in the sky that Mary is just rising, and or just a UFO is coming, and then they will declare, yeah, these are robots, they are far more enhanced, and what else. It will be interesting to see. Yeah, that
was the movie Idiocracy.
That's what I meant. Yeah, Idiocracy. Yeah, that's what I meant. I could not come up with that. Yeah.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so close to democracy anyway.
Yeah, but that's a problem, you see, that they can come up with everything. If people fall for the NASA and their moon landing, and people fall for in silico viruses and all the stuff, then they will also fall for dragons coming out of South America, or Mary just talking out of heaven. They will fall for it because they have just been mesmerized and fascinated by all the evil stuff. I don't think that is a coincidence that this dragon here should be the depiction of a Harry Potter figure here, or the beast, is wearing a chain. I don't think that's a coincidence there. And you see that people are fascinated by it. And this is just static here. But can you imagine what would appear if people in South America, in Chile or Argentina or what else, where they are extremely Roman Catholic to the core, they would see the appearance of a 3-dimensional holograph in the sky with a fire-spitting dragon. Can you imagine? They would take it for real. So Satan has been worshipped all over the place in all the times. There's nothing new. Only our means are just more sophisticated nowadays than before in ancient times. Although that must be not necessarily true, because you see that maybe or most likely they had also kind of advanced technology in the days of Noah, right? This is the creation of Satan, obviously, because there was a pentagram behind. And in that movie, the Metropolis, the Maria transformation, actually, they claimed, at least in that movie, they could transform a living being into this machine man. Yeah, so maybe we only have to wait until they have a complete transhuman body with all the artificial limbs, and all the scientists, you see, with their one eye symbol, they will agree on that it's just science. It's just for science sake. Yeah, so the Vatican ruling the entire earth without anybody knowing how I do it, from the Jesuitical general Tamburini. Yeah. The Vatican, since 400 years, advancing scientific inquiry and promoting awareness. Awareness. On how our universe works. Their universe, I think. Yeah, so meet the Church of Artificial Intelligence that worships AI as God. Is it too far-fetched? Do you think? Or are then people being fascinated by all the people who are just these robots or artificial intelligence who knows every answer to every question, much more smarter than your own father and mother. So therefore they will leave their father and mother and follow their artificial God, because he knows it all. He's God. He knows everything. What is God mode AI? And it's always, look at this, it's always in combination with young women. Yeah, even the so-called evangelical church here in Germany, they had some years ago, they had a blessing robot with different voices. Bless you, too. Can you imagine? You see that I'm not making anything up, I just collect information, and then this is my hypothesis of the things to come. And this happened in Wittenberg in 2070. Wittenberg. Yeah, Wittenberg. Yeah, that's the Luther town. That's the town of Luther, Wittenberg. It happened there. So how obvious it must be. Come on, my computer can't handle all this Windows at the same time. So this has happened in the Luther city. Come on. So is this your protest against the Pope?
No, it's a mockery against the Protestants.
It's an insult that a priest can bless you.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
That the priest can forgive sins.
Yep.
Yeah, and now they come up with a robot as a replacement of a priest. So I don't think that my hypothesis or my dystopia of the future of this earth is so far-fetched. Because, you see, if everything is dependent then on computers and not on ethical morality and people and, of course, totally ridiculing the Bible, then it means that this is the age of reason. And that means that the machine will, in the end, decide the end justifies the means. If there is too much CO2, then there are too much people, for example. Or there are too much animals to start with. And this machine or this teacher then, or this priest and priest teacher in school and universities, they will claim, of course, now we are much more smarter than before. Now we find the missing link, and they will explain everything in their universe. And nobody gets the word been taught by the Bible, because I think that in the end then paper will long be forbidden, because it will destroy all these precious trees and save the planet. So if there is no Bible anymore and everything is dependent on your artificial teacher and so-called artificial intelligence, then the kingdom of Satan on this earth would be complete. And what did Jesus...
It's already that way. The statements they've made, at the United Nations, it's already, condemned the common man.
Yeah, but it's not in charge now, because now we are being allowed to talk about the Bible, and we are allowed to read books and to buy and purchase books and all this stuff. But you see that if they will come up with all their missing links,
the laws have to be in place. You're saying, yeah.
If they come up with all their missing links, so that they have then a complete curriculum of all the combined sciences, that it sounds and looks totally logical and reasonable in the end for anybody, then we as Christians will be ridiculed and will be persecuted.
That's right. And that's the path that we're in because of all of the things that are... I mean, here in the States, Michael, you know that Donald Trump has just released a Bible.
Yes.
And it's called the... God Bless America or something, or God Bless the United States or something Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a King James Bible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think what's happening here is that they're trying to start something that's very, very disturbing. And sadly, Daryl Eberhardt called me this week to tell me about this thing about this. These are people that Daryl knows that have this radio show or internet show about, and they were talking about the eclipse, and they had mentioned General Flynn, and Daryl said, General Flynn is obviously, completely on the other side because of what this testimony of this woman named Alexandra came up with years ago about, this channeler. I forget her name now. There's a channeler. She looks like a modern day Alice Bailey up there, chanting all of these channeling things. And she had this channeled message, and the channeled message was the same as the speech of Michael Flynn. It looks like General Flynn is just a mouthpiece for Satan, more or less.
Yeah, he's a general. What do we expect?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
His job is to kill people. He's a general.
But there's just a lot of people that are, being misled. I have people I know here that are being misled by this whole monstrosity that's behind Trump. And it's very disturbing. Very disturbing.
Yeah. I guess. So I think they will come up with all the missing links and all the hypotheses. They will sum it up then to a certain kind of metaphysics or certain kind of quantum mechanics, quantum gravity. Yeah. So the future of AI in education means artificial intelligence. So your teacher is a robot or your teacher is the computer. And this is, you see that COVID is only forerunner when people have been educated by computers. Yeah. So for their own safety, of course. So they have at least taught and educated with the help of computers and with the... But yeah, it's likely that machines will be smarter than us before the end of the century, not just at chess or trivia questions, but at just about everything from mathematics and engineering to science and medicine. Quote of Gary Marcus, professor, scientist, New York University. Duke University actively uses an AI-based sepsis watch protocol in the emergency department. The program feeds vital signs, lab tests, and patient histories into a database. The Johns Hopkins has its own life-saving sepsis alert program called Truth. The miraculous protocol is being used in many ICUs in the Baltimore campus simultaneously. University of Tennessee Children's Hospital identifies children in the early stage of distress and allows healthcare providers to initiate treatment early in the process. Mount Sinai Hospital has explored use of AI going back to the deep dive project of 2018. Rather than looking for specific conditions such as sepsis, the project uploaded over 700,000 medical records into a database and gave the green light for the computer to learn as you go. Oh, you can imagine what kind of a outcome that is. That means that the machine is always right and the doctor is wrong because he's not so smart as the machine. The AI will be able to read radiology images faster and more accurate than a radiologist. Yeah, you see, that is the outcome. You are only inferior as a man. After genetic mapping, a person's genetic composition can be reviewed by AI to forecast their exact response to drugs. And now comes a big one, ventilation. Ventilators are being developed which allows AI to guide mechanical ventilation. Smart ventilators will analyze physiological data and self-adjust to provide optimal exchange of respiratory gases. When used in an ICU setting, AI ventilators will also prescribe appropriate sedation to complement the ventilation. Can you guess what my concerns are for the future? Oh, then it was not a virus in the air which caused the deceased one, but a virus in the software. And then who's to blame? How do you blame a machine? Is this robot, is this program, is this then responsible for his own? Or is it just a virus or wrong data, bad current, undercurrent, overcurrent, short circuit? What is it then? You see, can't be held responsible, and it won't get you the deceased one back. But you can't blame it on anyone, but then it's a computer program like Skynet.
How about this? It gets hacked.
Yeah.
And who hacked it? You'll never know.
You see,
and you're dead.
Skynet, Terminator, Wiki Phantom said Skynet is a neural net-based artificial intelligence.
Man. Just so wicked.
Yeah, maybe that is only a fan meme here, yeah, so I do not know if it shows up in these movies, but in the long run, and that's my last sentence here, or before I quote the Bible. What a little virus could do then in 2050, you can't imagine. When everything is digitally controlled and being overseen, supervised by artificial intelligence, when then a computer generate a virus has been then terminated several circuits in any internet communications and databases or neurological link or what else when happen, then we have a mass starving of people who are just being related to healthcare, people who have just gotten the wrong doses of medicine, wrong calculations of food, ingredients and all the stuff. So that could also lead to a mass famine or pestilence. So the beginning of the end is artificial intelligence, because that puts the machine supreme to any people. And people have been made in the image of God. So that means that's the thing to notice, I think, when it comes down to geology, that machines will rule everything. And nobody will tell that it's just a small elite in the background who are programming these machines to work out fine or to fail on purpose. It's like the general of an army commanding then not real soldiers, but actually robots or just computer programs. who are just then deciding who shall live, who shall survive, who's of benefit for the society, and who's the enemy of the state. And I guess that you already know in which category you will find yourself in the future.
22, except those days should be shortened.
Yeah.
There should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
Yes, that means that is the reference to the verse 21 when it is the tribulation, since the beginning of the word, the great tribulation. Yeah. So when the machine decides that Christians are the source of all evil, the majority of people will believe it because the machine is much more smarter than anybody, including Albert Einstein. So nobody is to blame. No papacy is to blame. So whom do you protest when there is nobody else left to protest? Because the papacy might be gone then. Because they say that, oh, we are just a bunch of old guys, and so maybe they will
step down, yeah.
Yeah, they will step down or what else, and then they have artificial intelligence in there, which is, of course, female. These were my predictions, sort of, for my research for the future, and I think the future will be much AI-based, and they will come out with the wrong apparition and wrong explanation of all the things, because that's what they are infamous for. Signing off for the moment, and Maranatha, and thanks for supporting me, Brett. Handing it over to you.
Yeah, I definitely need to thank you for all of this research and, putting the message out there, putting all your energy into it. This is a very large compilation of something that is, it's very disturbing, very, very disturbing. And I think any one of us can only handle so much, Michael. I don't think it's going to be something that is so easy. Very difficult. Wow. But yeah, I just keep thinking, Sophia, I mean, how fitting. Sophistry and casuistry, huh?
Yeah, and Sophia means wisdom.
Right.
Yeah, so you see, the wise girl.
Yeah, wisdom from which side is my question.
Genesis 3:1. The serpent was more subtle than any other beast of the field.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly.
Or science so-called.
For a minute there, Michael, what? Mm-hmm. Genesis 3:1?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Guess so. Yeah. So that's it for now, I guess. And I'm sure we'll have sessions coming in the near future. And yeah, there's plenty to discuss in these days. God willing, we'll be back with more. And to an internet server near you, right, Michael? Yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it. So we'll hope to catch up with you then, God willing. Bye-bye.